Welcome to Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends, the podcast where we explore life, career, relationships, and pop culture through a Christian conservative perspective. Each episode, we dive into deep topics that matter most to us women, from navigating your career with grace and confidence to watering meaningful relationships grounded in faith. We're here to empower you to embrace your femininity and stand firm in your beliefs. We'll also tackle the latest in pop culture, discussing how they align or clash with our values. Let's uncover the truth and encourage each other to live boldly and authentically. So whether you're at home or on your commute, get ready for some fabulous conversations. Grab your teacup, pour yourself some tea. Come on, girlies, we're changing culture. Hello. You are listening to Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends. I'm Mallory, and welcome to the podcast. This is a solo Mallory episode today, and sorry, I'm trying to pull up. I should already have pulled up. Here we go. It's all a Mallory episode today, and I'm really going to be going over abortion, the pro-life movement, being anti-abortion, the March for Life weekend, and I'm just going to go over like my experience, some quotes. I posted this on Instagram, some quotes that I really liked, and just some thoughts about kind of like what's going on in the movement. I guess So if you are new to the pro-life movement, or if you've been here for a really long time, I think this will be a very interesting episode. And this is just really me self-reflecting and like kind of talking things out. This is how I'm feeling right now. This is snow day number 1 of like Snowmageddon part 2. So who knows? I can receive some more information and maybe my thoughts on what's going on can change. But like, this is my opinion right now. And this is what I'm thinking. I'm like working out these thoughts and ideas. So if you are listening and you kind of disagree, just let me know. Also, I'm like kind of fighting a cold. And if you are a longtime listener, you know this happens once a year. And it has been pushed back this year, thank God. So hopefully I'm drinking my electrolytes. My dad gave me this like cough drop thing. I probably should take one this morning. I wonder if it'll like be annoying while I'm recording. Sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was like so gross. Maybe it'll like edit that out. And now I'm being annoying, like the crinkling of the paper. Sorry. All right. I popped this like cough drop thing. I don't know. When my dad was giving it to me, my mom was like, "Make sure you don't lose these. They're expensive." I'm like, "Okay, I'll take them." Okay. Hopefully you can't really hear it in my mouth through the episode. So let's get into it. If you haven't already, can you please subscribe, follow, like however it is, whatever platform you're listening on, can you interact with it? That would be amazing. Okay, let's talk some things. First, let's talk about like a huge elephant in the room at the March for Life. I wouldn't say Abby Johnson isn't the elephant in the room. And she's certainly an elephant in the room. She looks great. I don't know if anybody's seen her. Girl is snatched. The elephant in the room is the video she put out a couple days before the March for Life about her documentary that's going to come out. That's called, let me just look it up really quick. The first one she did was called Unplanned, and I think this is Unthinkable. I think that's what this one's called. Let's see. Abby Johnson. Oh, all right. Results are not loading. Oops, sorry about that. Yes, this is called Unthinkable. So it's which sounds really good, and it's essentially about what goes on. Like some former abortion workers are talking about like what actually goes on. She posted a clip that was like very eerie. It just made you feel really uncomfortable. But that's the truth of it. Abortion is uncomfortable. And so she posted a clip of it, and she posted a video, and they told her that it wasn't something that they wanted to show at the March for Life because it was I think it was because it was uncomfortable or something like that. And it's like, well, that's the truth. Like that's kind of the point. Like even the pictures of aborted babies is very uncomfortable, but like that's the truth. And here's the other thing too. I think the more you get involved, the more you want to make change, the more you meet people, the more you're learning. Your thoughts and opinions on certain things change. I used to be like adamantly against victim imagery. Adamantly against it. I used to think like it does nothing. And I don't think it does nothing. I don't think it's always appropriate, but I don't think it does nothing anymore. And I think that's something you learn with time and with growth. And you just see different things and like how different people have been affected. For example, Justice of the Five. I think like seeing that, though it's shocking and though it's like it like rips something in your heart because there's no denying the humanity of these babies. I think that is what kind of jerks people. I think that is what makes that's how we get to the unthinkable part of it because at the end of the day, ideally, let's make abortion illegal. You know, abolitionists, they're right. Equal protection under the law. And I guess Abby is one now and Seth Gruber. I want to look more into their podcast. Like they did a podcast, I need to listen to it. But, you know, equal protection under the law. If we're gonna say a baby is the same at, you know, 6 weeks when their heart beats in the womb, that baby's the same as a baby that's 2 years old playing with their mother or their Auntie Mal. Shout out to JT. If we're going to say those babies are the same, then we should have, you know, they should be treated like the murder of both should be treated the same. Equal protection. So, yeah. And the flip side of that is she's been talking a lot about different organizations that do things that like go against bills. And I want to say, those are the girls listeners. This is another time we are ahead of the others because you guys already knew this from when Brittany was on the podcast talking about abolitionist movement, and she mentioned that as well. She mentioned the prominent pro-life groups are sometimes, well, a lot of times, she said almost every. I think she said every single abolitionist bill in one of gosh, what state it was it? I need to re-listen to the episode. In a specific state, she said every single abolitionist bill in a specific state was shot down by a pro-life group. So we knew this already, okay? Listeners, we knew. So, you know, there is something interesting about that. And prominent leaders making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, it's this book that maybe we'll read together as a group in a couple of weeks. Well, later in the year, that everybody I was with pretty much at the March for Life weekend, all my friends were talking about. I can't remember the name of it, but I can just text somebody where it talks about how hard it is to run a nonprofit and remain ethical or something like that. And it just talks about like how you can run a nonprofit and not like try to do it ethically, essentially, like ethically running a nonprofit. So maybe not taking a salary, but like rethinking our structure of that. And that is something I've thought about just in general. Like you want to make, if you're doing this full time, obviously you would like to make a living, but this is something that helps people. And, you know, this is a problem that like people who run anti-human trafficking nonprofits face, people who run homeless shelters face. This is a ongoing problem. It's not just like a pro-life movement problem, but, you know, had people making large salaries sometimes, you know, and I think it is a interesting point. And the thing is, I don't want to sit here. I can't sit here and say that like there's all these people who intentionally are like keeping abortion going. Like, I don't think that that's like maliciously, I'll say that, maliciously, intentionally keeping abortion going. I don't want to sit here and say that. And I certainly know that's not for people who are like lay people like us. Like, I know we certainly aren't trying to do that. So when we're trying to find organizations to work with and support and donate to, this is something that I think we should be considering, we should be thinking about, is like these topics are very important and it's a very uncomfy situation, which is why the abolitionist episode was one of my most listened to episodes, I'm pretty sure, of last year. And, you know, I got a lot of more personal texts from my pro-life friends from the episode. It's an interesting topic and it's just something I think that we are all kind of like thinking about. And I mean, I think about it a lot because the mainstream organizations seem to be doing the most. I will say, I'm not going to name the organization, but sometimes I'll get like emails from them and they'll be like, we've abolished or we've gotten rid of abortion in Texas, stuff like that. And it's like, well, no, you didn't. Or like, they'll be like, it's virtually illegal in like North Carolina or something. It's like, or South Carolina. Like, actually, it's not. That's uncomfortable. Like, you're kind of straight up lying. So yeah, so that's something to pay attention to. Abortion is legal in all 50 states, and the main problem is the abortion pill. That is where everything is going wonky. And let's be honest, this administration supports the abortion pill. There is a video of the person who spoke at the March for Life this year, the vice president who spoke at the March for Life this year, which was interesting that he was the one who spoke. There's a video of him where he says, that he is in favor of the abortion pill. So it's just kind of like, okay. There's also something else, and that's will be a good segue. Let's talk about really quick what. So, for example, let's talk about this. This is from OSV News, so it's just like a regular, like a local newspaper, essentially. Planned Parenthood sees Title X funding restored after freeze. The Trump administration quietly released Title X family planning funds to Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion provider, promoting the American Civil Liberties Union to drop its lawsuit that sought to restore the funds. The Trump administration previously froze about $27.5 million in federal family planning grants to groups including Planned Parenthood as a part of its probe into diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, sometimes referred to DEI within federal agency. Those Title X funds were just a fraction of the taxpayer funds Planned Parenthood receives annually. This is the cleanest, least offensive place to address the Trump. Yeah, I guess that's it on that. So the point of me bringing that up is like when they stopped funding Planned Parenthood, everybody's cheering, we're super excited. And then they quietly refunded it. And I don't really think I saw anybody talking about it. And of course, we're not going to know because we're like lay people. But like if you're running a pro-life organization, you should be on top of that. And you should say something about that. You should say, hey, wait, you went back on your word. Like we thought that you were going to defund Planned Parenthood. I mean, some of us were like, oh, yay, they defunded it. Like, even though realistically, and I've thought about this a lot, if we just did a sweeping no abortions ever, you wouldn't have to be rejoicing or like begging for them to defund Planned Parenthood, begging for them to abolish the pill. We wouldn't be begging if they could just completely just like abolish it, equal protection. So that's just something to think about. Don't shoot the messenger. That's just something I'm thinking about. So these are just some of the things that are going on. Also, just kind of like there was someone like the concept of abortion is murder. Concept of even saying that. I didn't realize it was controversial till I had a couple of friends talk about that. And I saw even in Abby's comments, she said that abortion is murder. And then someone was like, wow, Abby, you said that? I'm surprised. And she's like, I've been saying it for years. And it's like, I don't know. I haven't followed her that closely. I do like her. Last couple of years, I've really enjoyed her content, but I don't follow her like, okay, what does she say? Ooh, let's see. I haven't done that, so I don't know. But just I do know that there are organizations that will not say abortion is murder, and they actually encourage the members of their organization not to say that. I do know that. So yeah, and then you think about like sometimes people are just trying to use a tactic that will convince more lie. It's such a 1+1=2 situation. But is it 5 plus 0.5 plus 0.5 plus 0.5 equals 2? Or is it like 0.3 plus 0.7 plus 0.4 plus 0.6 equals 2 type of thing? If that made sense to you, you understand my brain. If that did not make sense to you, I don't know how to explain it any better than that. So yeah, so I think these are all things that I want us all to be like thinking about in general. If you consider yourself pro-life, if you want to make a difference, if you are trying to impact this world, I think it's something we should be thinking about and considering, just some of these topics. And I would love for you to comment on this video if it's on YouTube or Spotify. I'll also do a blog post kind of about this. Comment there, message me on Instagram, however. Like I think this is a good ongoing discussion that we need to have about like moving forward, because the reality is we want to make abortion illegal and unthinkable. Those two things are not necessarily mutually exclusive, because Abby also, I'm talking about Abby a lot because I've seen her a lot lately. She made a point that if abortion was illegal, she would have done it because it was illegal and most people aren't going to do things illegal. So there would be a good chunk of people who would not do it. Now there will be a good chunk of people who won't care because people break the law every day, but there will be I think an even huger chunk of people who just wouldn't do it. And I think that's something that we're also need to consider. And for those people who would, I think it's changing culture and making it unthinkable, which kind of goes to like the next point I kind of want to talk about is like changing culture. I think this is our biggest task. I think that it is something that we all, like even the smallest of us with the smallest of platform, without a platform who just like consumes content and you've never been to a march or whatever, you should come next year. And that's, I really like, I've been trying to do like a huge, let me back up. Not huge, because like that's also going to be expensive, but like a meetup where we come together, we meet up, we get dinner afterwards, and then we do like a tea party or something. You guys know I've been trying to do that for years. I would like to do that next year really badly. Keep this in your mind, everybody listening. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So I lost my train of thought. Abortion is evil. Abortion is murder. Abortion, there's like this chair, and it goes, abortion is a tool of the patriarchy. I don't know why I love it so much. Unthinkable. So I think we have to change culture. It's actually kind of incredibly insane how ubiquitous abortion is in like random shows now. And like, okay, let's talk about that. If you have not already, you should subscribe and listen to Oops Spoilers. Oops Spoilers is a podcast where I invite Elise. She's been a co-host before, and she runs this podcast. I used to run it, and then I listened to the latest interview. I'm like, Elise is really good at this. I'm glad she has it. And essentially, and I do come on to review like movies or books or stuff like that. But she's interviewing people who are storytellers, who are creatives, essentially. And hopefully she'll even interview maybe a magician or like someone who's been on TV. I don't know. It's her plan. She's got it. And what made me, so the reason why I'm bringing this up is I'm just thinking about like entertainment and like media in general. I am just, if you're listening and you are in some sort of media, if you're in entertainment, like keep going. We really need good, righteous, better movies. We need good, righteous, virtuous, better entertainment magazines. You guys know I love the Swish, things like that. We just need better. It needs to be virtuous, truthful. And I'm using these buzzwords that I've learned over the past year that I just think that are just so, they really encapsulate the idea of, for like the, where we have strayed. I think like we really have gone so far from like from being virtuous and truthful. And if you are in the entertainment space, if you're writing books, if you do music, if you are doing TV shows, all that stuff, like I would encourage you to keep going. We need that because like culture has definitely shifted. And the only way we're going to change culture is by storytelling. It is by, that leads me to the next part, but it is by things like storytelling and things like sharing truths about what abortion is. Like that's how we're going to make it unthinkable. We're not, at the end of the day, we're not going to make it unthinkable by just going about our lives and like not changing anything, because it's like we just can't do that anymore. And it's awkward and uncomfortable sometimes, but sometimes you just gotta do it. Like sometimes you just gotta be honest with your friends in situations. Sometimes you just have to speak up where you see something going on, which leads me to the next thing I want to talk about is, so at the March for Life weekend, what I did was I attended the march, and then the next day there's so many conferences, like pro-life conferences, and I attended the O'Connor one in Georgetown. So ideally, if you were to come and the March for Life, we do the March for Life on Friday, and then we would do the a conference, the O'Connor conference. Probably there's multiple conferences. I mean, you can pick whatever conference you want, but I really like the O'Connor conference. That was my second time going. But Christina Bennett, who is like a mentor, a friend, a fashion icon for me, love her. She spoke at another conference that Live Action was doing, and one thing that she said, so what I did was there were so many good quotes over that weekend, and I just like wrote them down so I can remember, come back to. So let's go over some of them. One of them was, storytelling is how we will change the culture. I think this is something that is going to be underrated. It's just sharing your story. I think everybody has a story. And I'll say this. So this is something that I get really for lack of a better word, insecure about, because I don't have, if you know Christina's story, her mother was actually going to have an abortion. A lady who Christina thinks was an angel essentially said, you don't have to do this. And she walked out of the abortion. She walked out of the facility. So it's like stories like that, stuff like that. Like it's beautiful. That's great to hear. That is what is going to change people's minds. Just truths like that. Not everybody has a story. Like I don't have a story like that. I just care because I think we should care, and it concerns me. The idea of having an arbitrary time of like when life matters concerns me. I care because also for religious, but also philosophical, like moral reasons as well. But like that's why I care. So I always, like when people talk about stories, I'm like, what? Like I don't understand. Like I don't really have a story. And I think it's okay if you don't necessarily have a story, but I think like sharing your thoughts are really important. Sharing other people's stories. Other people's stories are really important. I have a friend who was conceived during rape, and he is a huge pro-life advocate. And his mom is very grateful to have had him. And it's like sharing stories like that. Those are the type of things that will change the culture. Like, we have to get better at that. Pro boards are so, I mean, I cannot express how good they are at telling stories. Oh, they're so good at it. So, yeah. So, other quotes I really liked. Abortion does not solve the root problems vulnerable pregnant women face. A quote or like a statement I heard once was like, getting an abortion is not going to make your situation better. Like, if you don't have a car, you're still not going to have a car after you get the abortion. There are people who want to help, and you just have to ask. You just have to know where you are. And then it's also our job, those who want to help, that we're making it known. I will never forget when one of my friends, he told me that he didn't even know pregnancy centers existed until I started talking about them. So that's the type of stuff. Like, to me, as I'm sure I've told you guys my story. My mom was on the board of a pregnancy center when I was growing up. So it was just like a no-brainer to me. Like, I didn't realize that like other people weren't pro-life, and I also just didn't. Like, it was just like yeah, of course. Like, pregnancy centers, they just help people. Like, that's what they just help people. So, when you hear about them in movies or read about them in books nowadays and stuff like that, and these evil, awful, fake clinics, it's like, what? They're there to help. Like, I've seen something too. I have seen it with my own eyes. Like, they are there to help. Is every pregnancy center created equal? No. Now, are there some that probably need Jesus? Sure. But the majority of them, if not all of them, are there to help. And the issues that you're facing as a vulnerable woman, as someone who is going through something, like, your problems are not going to be saved. You're not going to get a job just because you're not pregnant. You're still going to have those experiences. So it will be good, righteous, the correct thing to do. Reach out, ask for help. There are people who want to help. Okay, here's another one. Okay, this one was by Jenny Lichner. She is the current CEO of March for Life. I think she's a CEO. She's in charge of it. Invite people in truth, beauty, and goodness. We can't just show what we are against. We should also show what we are for. And this is something that I think about a lot, because years ago, I've said this on the podcast before, years ago, talking to a friend, we were talking about the WAP song, and they were saying all these conservatives are like saying like this is wrong, they were talking about all this stuff, but no one's really giving like an example of like a good song. Like, they're not trading it out. So you're saying all this music, all this stuff is wrong, but like, you're never saying, but this is right, this is truth, this is virtuous. And I think about that a lot, and I try to be better at that. I mean, I'm not perfect. Like, I'm sure, you can look back at the episodes that I have not, given the opposite, but ideally, that's what I try to do, is to also talk about what we are for. So obviously, we're against the intentional killing of human life, of a baby in the womb, but we are for helping and empowerment. We are for, if you need assistance, we can help you. We are for women to take accountability, for men to step up. We are for men to take accountability and step up. I could talk for hours on that. That is what we are for. That is what we encourage. I mean, let them live. I say let them live because it's like a catch-all. Like, there's pregnancy centers. In Charlotte, we have Queen City, U City / Cabarrus Women's Center. We also have the Human Coalition, and we have Birthright. I want to say we have one more. No, I think that's it. In Charlotte, there is a Rock Hill Palmetto Women's Center, but that's all we have in Charlotte. My point is, like, talking about those, encouraging those, donating to those, like, explaining like what we are for. We are for you, and everybody's situation is different. So this is another thing too. When you're talking to someone, just remember, like, everybody's situation is different. There is a reason why this person is choosing to do this, and it might be different than why person B was choosing to do it. So, listen and like help them for what they're at. I think this is just a side note. It's something that I have had to work on, is not like talking like a script. Like, you already know someone's going to say this thing, so then you just say something back. Like, actually listening and like responding to what someone else said. It's very important. Another thing she said that I liked was, we should speak boldly, unapologetically with moral clarity and compassion. One of the things that we say on this podcast, and if you're listening, say it with me, we speak the truth in grace and in love. So don't waver on the truth. Never do that. Never. But we're speaking the truth in grace and in love. Here's an example. Abortion is murder. Now keep your legs closed. Not necessary. Abortion is murder. You don't have to say, keep your legs closed, whore. Like, that's not necessary. Abortion is murder is already fine. Okay, last quote, but the quote that I think about every single day is for my friend Kristen. And I don't think she realized, like, her talk. And I feel like she's probably gonna be like, okay, Mallory, enough. But, like, it really did encourage me. She said, act if God is real in everything you do. And I think that's probably how I'll wrap up this. Well, no, I have a couple more things I want to say. I'll wrap up this segment of the episode. If we are acting as if God is real in everything we do, actually, no, this is how I'll wrap up the episode. Just trying to make sure. Like I said, I have a outline now, kind of organized. Okay, yeah, this is how I'll wrap it up. If we're acting like God is real in everything we do, if that's our goal, if that's what we're doing, then we're going to, like, having that focus, we're going to do things a little differently. You're going to treat people with compassion, because if God is real, then he cares and loves people. He wants us to care and love for people. If we act like God is real in everything we do, if all Christians do, it will change culture. I truly think so. And this isn't like that, like, be passive, but it's being truthful, showing compassion. It is honoring people. It is choosing to, in the talk, she talked about how, like, when you're at an abortion facility and the pro-abort is, like, being really nasty, maybe dancing, calling you names. And, like, she said that before she was a Christian, she would, like, kind of talk back to them and be, like, really mean toward them. And now what she does is just kind of takes a step back and, like, realize, like, that's not how you treat someone. How they're treating you is not how you want to be treated, so you shouldn't treat them that way. And I think that's a great example of, like, showing God's love, showing that, like, even at the end of the day, when someone's treating you terribly like that, like, showing that, like, I don't want to say you're better, but, like, God's love causes you to remain in character. Don't act out of your character. Yeah, that's how I'll say it. Yeah. So yeah, that is just a quick March for Life. Abortion is murder talk. I'm trying to think of anything else. I want to have some guests throughout the year, kind of continuing this conversation. Like I said, like, this is actually, I don't remember if I said this, but this is part of the reason why I talk about these things is because A, I'm passionate about it, and then B, like, this is a conversation that we have as girls. Maybe not every single time you get together with your girlies, but, like, it does come up, and it can come up not just in conversation, but, like, in real life. Like, you can have a friend who has an unexpected pregnancy and doesn't know what to do, or has a planned and excited pregnancy and she receives this awful diagnosis and she's not sure how she should move forward. Like, these are the conversations that we're having, and ideally I just want to help you guys think through them, and I want to, like, equip you with just some arguments, or like just equip you with, like, more knowledge and education in this topic. So we'll talk about it more. That is the March for Life 2026 recap. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and share this with all of your friends, specifically your pro-life friends. Tell them to enjoy the podcast. If you enjoyed it, share it. I guess that's it. I'm trying to think of anything else to say. This is it. Please rate, review, subscribe, all of that things, and then have a good day, night, evening, however, wherever you're listening. Bye.